This is the procedure for changing the idler on the XG200 and XG400. The tools you're going to need is a 2mm Allen wrench, a 6mm, an 8mm, a 17mm open-end wrench, a 13mm open-end wrench, and a 10mm open-end wrench, as well as a Phillips screwdriver and a ruler. First thing we're going to do is take off the connecting arm and pedal arm in one piece. To do that, just pull back the shiny plastic cover and loosen that bolt that holds the crank arm to the axle. And then we're going to remove the bolt that holds the connecting arm to the swing arm. Then we're going to take out the 3 screws that are on the right side, and they should just be along the bottom. And we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side, removing the pedal arm and the connecting arm at the same time. On the left side, there are 2 extra screws. There'll be the 3 along the bottom, and then there'll be 2 extra screws on the very back edge of the plastics. On the left side, the plastic will just come off. On the right side, we'll have to slide it off and then remove the jack from the plastic. Next, we're just going to remove the brake assembly. It's held on with a 13mm nut. Step 2 here, we're going to start on the right side. We're going to loosen the idler on the right side. It does not have to be taken all the way off. That screw just needs to be loosened up so that you can get the belt off of the pulleys. On the left side, we're going to do the same thing, loosen that tensioner or that idler. On this side, however, you do have to completely remove the screw that is holding that tensioner in place. And it's going to take a while to completely unthread that. And then remove the belt from the pulleys. Next, we're going to remove the flywheel. Using your Allen wrench, you need to take the 3 bolts out of the bearing housing, and then we're going to use the small Allen wrench to take the set collar off of the axle. And then on that left side, you need to slide the bearing housing down the axle a little bit. On the right side, you just need to remove those 3 Allen head bolts that hold the bearing housing to the frame of the machine. And then just grab the axle with both hands and slide it out to the left side. You do want to be very careful with the flywheel. As you pull it out of there, you just don't want to ding up the flywheel or ding up the frame. Now you just want to pull the idler out on that left side and put the new idler in place. We're going to put the flywheel back into place. It's going to be a little difficult to get in there, but you just want to be careful and not scratch it up. Be sure it's seated in there correctly. Put your set collar in place and tighten it down on the axle. Then we want to get the belt placed right over the front and the back pulley. And then it's time to tighten that idler up. Since this is such a long screw, it's going to take a little while to get it tight. Just kind of a way to measure it here, you can see here it's about 1.5 inches is how far the tensioner is from the top edge of the frame. Then we're going to repeat the same thing on the opposite side, except there's not a set collar to put in place. We're just going to tighten up the bolts that hold the bearing housing in, and then route our belt around the pulleys and correctly around that tensioner. And then the same process, we're going to tighten up the belt that's on the right side, and you basically want to tighten it until it bottoms out. Next, we're going to put the brake back on. Just want to be sure you have your washers in the right place, and using the 13mm wrench, tighten that back down. Next, we're going to put both side covers on. We're going to put the arms back on exactly the same way that we took them off. Just remember, on the plastic that's on the left side, on the right side, you need to put your jack back into place.